The cold metal of the locker dug into Michael's spine as the larger boy's fist connected with his gut, forcing the air from his lungs in a sharp gasp. "Fucking fairy. You make me sick," the bully snarled, his friend's laughter echoing like a nightmare that never ended. And in Michael's mind, the words blurred with his father's voice from the night before. "If you ever bring that filth into this house, you're no son of mine." Why did it always come to this? Every single day. The same cycle of fear and humiliation. His body tensing before the first shove even landed. He had tried to hide it, to bury the truth deep inside after that one careless conversation with a so-called friend last year had spread like wildfire through Lincoln High. But secrets like his didn't stay buried in a small Illinois town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Michael's thoughts raced as another kick landed near his knee, sending him crumpling. What if this was all he deserved? His mother's disappointed sighs at the dinner table, the way she clutched her cross when he mentioned anything even remotely personal, the constant pressure to date girls, to join the football team like his older brother who was the pride of the family. "Be a man, Michael," his father would grunt, never knowing or wanting to know the war raging inside his son. The guilt ate at him constantly. Was he betraying God, his family, the future they planned? Yet in the quiet moments alone with his sketchbook, the feelings for other boys surfaced unbidden, filling him with a mix of terror and exhilarating truth. He couldn't change who he was, but changing the world around him seemed impossible. Survival meant silence, but silence was killing him slowly. "Leave him alone," the voice cut through the mockery. Strong and steady, Michael lifted his head, vision blurry from unshed tears, to see the new student standing at the end of the row of lockers. Mason. That's what the announcements had said this morning. Mason Reeves, transferring from Chicago. He looked out of place in their Midwestern high school. With his confident posture, dark hair slightly tousled, and eyes that held no fear, the bullies turned, sizing him up. "Mind your own business, new kid," one growled. But Mason didn't back down. "Why?" "Because picking on someone half your size makes you feel big." Mason's tone was calm, but there was steel beneath it. Michael's heart pounded for a different reason now. Who was this guy? Why would he risk becoming the next target on his very first day? As the group muttered and eventually dispersed with threats, Michael pushed himself up, wincing. "You didn't have to do that," he muttered, avoiding eye contact, his internal voice screaming warnings. Don't trust him. This could be a setup. People like us don't get heroes. Mason shrugged, offering a hand to help him steady. "No one deserves that crap. I'm Mason. You okay?" His grip was firm, warm, sending an unexpected spark through Michael that he immediately pushed down. No, he couldn't let himself feel anything. Feelings led to pain. "Michael," he replied shortly. "Thanks, but you should stay away. It doesn't end well for people who associate with me." Inside, Michael wrestled with a contradiction, the relief of someone standing up for him versus the terror of what it might mean if Mason knew the full truth, or, worse, if he felt the same pull. They walked out of the locker room together, the hallway buzzing with the usual after-school chaos. Mason talked easily about his move, how Chicago was too loud and his family needed a quieter life after his dad's job transfer. But Michael sensed there was more. Layers beneath the surface story. When they passed the music room, Mason paused. "I heard this school has a decent piano. Mind if I check it out quick?" Michael hesitated but nodded, curiosity winning over caution. As Mason sat at the old upright piano, his fingers danced across the keys in a flawless melody, something classical yet infused with modern emotion. The music filled the empty room, and for a moment, Michael's walls cracked. How could someone so talented, so unafraid, exist in his world? In his mind, questions swirled. Could this be the start of something real, or just another way to get hurt? His family's expectations weighed heavy, They would never accept this. Never accept him. Yet listening to Mason play, Michael felt a flicker of hope he hadn't allowed in years. "You're really good," he said softly when the last note faded. Mason turned, smiling in a way that made Michael's chest tighten. "Music's my escape. What's yours?" The question hung between them, loaded with possibility. And Michael knew in that instant his life was about to change, whether he was ready or not. But as they left the room, the fear returned stronger. What price would he pay for letting someone in? The next morning, Michael sat rigid in English class, the desk chair feeling like a cage as Mason slid into the seat beside him without asking. That simple choice sent Michael's thoughts into overdrive. Why here? Why now? When every eye in the room could see and judge. Last night's family dinner replayed in brutal detail, his father slamming the fork down after one glance at Michael's untouched plate, muttering about weakness while his mother avoided eye contact, her silent prayers louder than any sermon. "I can't drag anyone else into this hell," Michael thought, the words carving deeper into his soul. "If Mason gets close, he'll see the cracks, the shame that clings like tar. And then what? Another rejection. Another reason to believe I'm broken beyond repair." Yet the memory of Mason's piano notes lingered, a melody that promised something softer, something true. And the conflict tore at him. Stay hidden and survive, or risk everything for a connection that might finally make the loneliness end. When the teacher called on Mason to read aloud, his voice steady and warm, Michael stole glances, heart racing at the way Mason's fingers tapped the desk in rhythm, as if music lived in his blood. The attraction was there, undeniable and terrifying, pulling him toward a choice he knew could shatter his fragile world. What if I let him in and he turns out like the others? Laughing behind my back once the truth slips? The thought brought a wave of nausea. Memories of his brother's disgusted stare when Michael had slipped once, mentioning a crush on a boy from camp. Family isn't blood if they can't love the real me. But losing them would leave me with nothing. Mason leaned over during a group exercise, whispering, "That poem we just read reminds me of hiding parts of yourself. You ever feel that?" The question hit like a punch, forcing Michael to confront the moral tightrope, tell the truth and risk exposure, or lie and lose the only person who seemed to see him. By lunch, the internal storm had intensified, Michael's mind replaying every interaction, weighing the cost of friendship against the safety of isolation. He ate alone in the corner, fork pushing food he couldn't taste, thinking how his mother's voice that morning had begged him to try harder to fit in, her eyes wet with fear of what the neighbors would say. Mason found him anyway, sitting across with a tray and an easy smile that made Michael's resolve waver. "Mind if I join?" Chicago lunches were never this quiet. Their conversation flowed, Mason sharing small stories of city life. But Michael held back, his thoughts screaming warnings. One wrong word and the bullies win again, dragging him down with me. Yet when Mason mentioned auditioning for the talent show, his eyes lighting up with passion, Michael felt a crack in his armor. Maybe talent like that could shield them both. Or maybe it was just another illusion. As the bell rang, Michael walked away with a knot in his stomach heavier than before. The hope Mason stirred was dangerous, clashing with the guilt that whispered he didn't deserve kindness. Not when his existence shamed his family. That night alone in his room, staring at the ceiling, the monologue deepened. "If I push him away now, I save us both pain. But if I don't, I might finally breathe." The choice felt impossible, the emotional weight crushing, leaving him torn between the boy he was forced to be and the one screaming to be seen. Walking home with Mason after school felt like stepping onto thin ice, each step amplifying Michael's inner turmoil to a fever pitch. The conversation from lunch echoed talent show, hiding parts of yourself, and now Mason's casual question about family hit like a blade. "Mine's complicated," Michael managed. But inside the floodgates opened Dad's silence at breakfast this morning. The way he turned a newspaper page harder when Michael entered the room, as if the sight alone was an accusation. How can I explain to Mason that love in my house comes with conditions? Conditions that make me question if I'm even human? The dilemma clawed deeper. Open up and risk the ultimate betrayal, or stay guarded and watch this fragile bond wither. Mason's presence made the choice excruciating. His calm demeanor stirring feelings Michael had sworn to bury. Feelings that now demanded he confront the morality of his silence. They stopped at the park near school. Mason sitting on the bench with that same steady gaze. You don't have to tell me everything. But I get it. Chicago wasn't all lights either. Lost friends when I stood up for what was right. Michael's heart raced. Was this a sign? Or a trap? His thoughts spiraled into raw conflict. If I admit the bullying isn't random, if I say the word gay out loud here, will he run like everyone else, leaving me more alone than before? The family pressure mounted in his mind. Mothers whispered pleas to pray it away, brothers' threats to fix him if word got out at college scouts. Sacrificing truth for their approval felt like slow death. Yet the alternative terrified him more, losing the only anchor he'd found. Mason's hand brushed his accidentally, sending sparks that forced Michael to pull back. The internal scream deafening. This is wrong. This is dangerous. But God, it feels like the first real thing in years. The talk turned personal. Michael sharing fragments about the constant weight of expectation, his voice cracking despite efforts to stay strong. Mason listened without judgment, sharing his own doubts about fitting in. And for a moment the connection felt electric, romantic in its quiet intensity. But then Michael's mind rebelled. What if this is the betrayal waiting to happen? Me dragging him into my mess and watching him regret it? The moral question burned. Was it selfish to want this? Or was denying it the greater sin against himself? As they parted, Michael walked home alone, the emotional intensity peaking in waves of doubt and longing, each thought heavier than the last, leaving him questioning every choice that had led him here and every one still to come. The hallway confrontation exploded without warning. Jake and his crew cornering Michael again. But this time Mason stepped in with more than words, his talent flashing like a lifeline. Back off, Mason said, then pulled out his phone and played a quick recorded piano riff that somehow diffused the tension, the melody cutting through the aggression. Michael's gratitude clashed violently with terror inside. He defended me again. But at what cost to himself? If they turn on him now, it's my fault. Another scar I'll carry forever. The family nightmare resurfaced in vivid detail. Father's rage if he heard about this friend. Mother's tears over the family reputation crumbling. Choosing to accept Mason's help felt like a moral gamble, one that could save him or destroy everything he clung to for survival. Later in the music room, the air thick with unspoken words, Michael's internal battle raged harder. Mason's fingers on the keys again, composing on the spot a piece that seemed to speak directly to Michael's pain, made the attraction undeniable. Why does his talent make me feel seen when my own family looks right through me? The dilemma intensified. Hide this growing bond to protect us both, or embrace it and face the consequences of being authentic. Betrayal loomed in every shadow. Memories of past friends who had turned. And Michael's thoughts spiraled into profound self-doubt. Am I worth this risk? Or am I just pulling him down with my brokenness? The emotional weight pressed until breathing hurt. Each second with Mason a choice between fear and fleeting hope. As they left, a whispered thanks from Michael carried layers of turmoil. The decision to keep meeting weighing on him like lead. Family dinner that evening amplified it all. The silent judgment at the table forcing him to question if love could ever win against such deep-rooted expectations. Mason's face and his mind became both salvation and torment, the internal conflict reaching new heights of raw intensity, leaving Michael torn between the boy society demanded and the one his heart refused to silence. The secret meeting behind the bleachers after dark pushed Michael's emotions to a breaking point. Mason's presence now a constant ache of desire and dread. Their hands brushed again, this time lingering. And Michael's mind exploded with conflict. This feels like the truth I've hidden so long. But if my family finds out, they'll disown me without a second thought, leaving me with nothing but regret. The moral line blurred. Was pursuing this love a selfish betrayal of everything they taught? Or was denying it the real betrayal of self? Mason's soft words about not hiding anymore only deepened the turmoil. Michael's internal monologue a torrent of guilt, fear, and desperate yearning that made every breath a battle. Family pressure hit harder that week. His father's ultimatum about straightening up for college applications tearing at him during the conversation with Mason. Why does one person's talent and kindness make me question a lifetime of conditioning? The dilemma consumed him. Sacrifice the connection to keep peace at home, or risk it all for a chance at real happiness. The emotional intensity surged, self-doubt mixing with budding love until Michael felt he might shatter. Each thought heavier, more visceral than before, forcing him to face the price of every choice ahead. The betrayal came from his closest ally, a friend leaking hints to the school, and Michael's world collapsed inward with crushing force. Mason's protective stand only amplified the pain. Why did I let this happen? Dragging him into my family's war. Internal thoughts raged like never before. The choice to trust was mine, and now the cost is his reputation. My home life in ruins, all because I dared to want more. Family confrontation that night left him broken. Father's words cutting deeper than any bully. The moral abyss widening. Was staying true worth losing everything? Or was hiding the only ethical path left? The emotion peaked in waves of despair and defiance. Michael's soul laid bare in silent agony. Mason's talent show performance dedicated subtly to someone fighting invisible battles shifted the school. But for Michael, the moment ignited an inferno of internal chaos. Watching from the shadows, he wrestled with profound awakening. His brilliance changed them. But can it heal me when my own blood sees me as shame? The sacrifice loomed. Public support meant family exile. Silence meant losing Mason. Thoughts tore at him with unprecedented depth. Love versus duty clashing in raw, unrelenting drama. The emotional weight nearly unbearable as he faced the ultimate choice. Standing on stage beside Mason after the final bow, the school's shifting eyes meant nothing against the storm in Michael's chest. The talent had transformed the halls. Bullies retreating, teachers praising. Yet his father's slammed door that morning echoed louder than any applause. Was this victory worth the nights of tears, the lost family dinners, the constant war inside where every smile at Mason felt like both salvation and sin? Michael's mind flooded with the ultimate conflict. I chose truth. But at what price? The boy I loved beside me. Yet the home I knew gone forever. The awakening came in waves of bittersweet clarity. Every past betrayal, every moral dilemma, every internal scream now distilled into one truth. Change starts with us. But the scars remain, forcing us to carry them with grace or let them define the end. Mason's hand found his backstage, the touch of the quiet promise amid the noise. Yet Michael's heart still questioned the cost. In the end, as the crowd dispersed and the lights dimmed, he wondered if any of it had truly set them free or simply revealed how deep the roots of prejudice ran. True or false? Does proving your worth through talent truly change hearts? Or does it only force temporary silence on the prejudice that still simmers?